right when I
did
started
that on
recording.
purpose.
A slurp. Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Dallas Hoops Fancast, a podcast for Mavs fans. I'm your host, Sydney. I'm here with my co-host, Martin.
Hey, guys.
And as always, thank you so much for listening. You can follow the show on Twitter.
30 minutes later.
I'm doing this whether you like it or not. You can follow the show on Twitter at Dallas Hoops Cast. You can follow me on Twitter at _ Sydney Myers. Martin isn't on Twitter.
I'm working on it.
Yeah. Well, you follow Bleacher Report, the app, which is kind of like Twitter.
Yeah, but I need to get a Twitter account if I really want to be up to speed on everything.
If you want to connect with the fans.
The fan, that's stolen, I think.
Oh, yeah. Who is that fan? 105.3 The Fan.
Of course, there's our Tolos.
Yeah, they got their thing. Yeah, so you can follow me on Twitter. And then also, if you have a smart home device, you can really easily listen to the podcast on that. All you have to just say the name of your device and then play Dallas Hoops Fancast, and it'll play the most recent episode. That works whether you're on Apple, Google, Amazon, all of those devices. Just say play Dallas Hoops Fancast. You can listen to it or just cast it from your app of choice. But anyway, so we're going to get into the episode. Last episode, we shared our predictions for how many games we think the Mavericks are going to win. And mine was pessimistic, we'll say. And
what did you say again? 45?
I said in my heart, I want to say 40. I think I said 48 or something. But what I really believed was, I want to say closer to 42.
Okay.
Yeah, it was kind of low. It was more in line with what like pretty much everyone is saying.
Yeah. And
you were saying, I think you got to 50.
Yeah, I said I think they have a real shot. Now, my actual number, I think, was 48.
Oh, okay.
And I clearly said that I was an optimistic Mavs fan, and I was thinking positively about the season, and based on the players that they have and the coach that they have. But since then, I've listened to a couple of podcasts, and aside from a few in the Dallas area, the majority of so-called experts and analysts, they don't think really highly of the Mavs.
They're not that high on a Porzingis, first of all.
No.
I've heard some mixed, like they'll say in one sentence, like, you know, yeah, he's a great player, generational and all that stuff, but they're not really that high on it. They don't think that he's going to make that big of an impact, whether it's because of just they don't think he's that great or injuries or whatever.
Yeah, the biggest thing is, can he stay healthy? And in all reality, that is a true statement, because in a lot of ways, the Mavs season is going to go based on the health of Porzingis.
Well, of any player, really.
Any player that's a foundation piece.
Yeah.
So what I decided to do was look at the win shares of all the players that the Mavericks have, what their win shares were last year, and kind of did an estimate based on win shares where the Mavericks record should fall. There was a couple things I had to do differently. One was Porzingis, because he didn't play a full season. Well, he didn't play it all last year. And the previous season, he didn't play a full season. So what I decided to do was look at Dirk in 2000, I think it was 15-16. The last year, the Rondo year. He averaged...
So that was, I think they went out of the first round against the Spurs. That was that year.
The Rockets.
Or the Rockets, yeah.
The Spurs was the year before.
Yeah. They won 42 games that year. 15-16.
Okay, then it was the previous season.
14-15. They won 50 games.
Yes.
Okay.
So that year, Dirk averaged, I think, 17.9 points a game.
Okay.
And to me, I figured, because he was an older Dirk, 18 points a game, I thought that was pretty fair to say. You know, I think Porzingis will average more than that. But because of the injuries and everything like that, I was thinking 18 points a game would be good.
Well, I was going to say, I think that's also as close to a good comparison as we can get, because you could say an older Dirk in terms of not just like points and surface stats, but like his impact on the court and like what they call gravity and all that. Yeah. That would be comparable to a Porzingis coming back after not playing for a year. Yeah,
and I think that team really has a lot of similarities. I think Monte and Luca kind of are, they both have the same role. Now, Luca's probably a little bit better, but it's hard to say because Monte was really awesome in the Mavs system.
Yeah, he was, man.
Yeah, let's not go down the Monte train.
I miss Monte.
And he was the original. He was Monte Magic before
Monte
Luca Magic.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that combination, and Dirk was 18 points a game. I think that's fair to say that's what Porzingis would be. The win shares for Dirk that season was 7. So he contributed to 7 of the Mavericks' victories out of the 50 that they won. So I figured that was a fair number to give to Porzingis. It's not an outrageous number, and it's not a really low number.
So for just to give it context, what would be like an outrageous number of win shares?
Oh, 11, 12, 13.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So 7 is like that star level, but it's not. We're not saying he's going to come back and be MVP.
And just
next
think
year.
about exactly. We just think about Dirk that year. I mean, he was clearly on the tail end of his career, but he was still very effective, and he helped the Mavericks win. He still shot well and contributed to wins, and I think that's a fair thing to ask for Porzingis. Now, personally, I think he'll be better, but it's fair to say he'll come in, average 18 a game, and he'll be a spot-up shooter like Dirk. If that's what you get out of him, great. He'll contribute to 7 wins. So I tallied up all the win shares of the current team with DeLon Wright, Jalen Brunson, Seth Curry, Boban Marjanovic.
Quick question.
Yes.
Bogdanovich.
Wait, Marjanovic. Boban Marjanovic.
All these guys, I can't keep the bitches straight. So does that also factor in any difference that they might have in minutes played? Or is there any difference? I mean, maybe not. Maybe DeLon Wright will play the same amount of minutes he played last year.
I didn't change that.
Okay.
So I'm just taking it as is, the win shares. Now, you'd be surprised that DeLon Wright was actually very effective with contributing to wins last year. Even on a sucky team, he was very impactful. So when I tallied all them together, Luca at 5 win shares, Porzingis at 7, Dwight Powell was the highest at 7.5, DeLon Wright 4.3, Tim Hardaway Jr. 1.8, and that's accumulation between the Mavs and Knicks. Brunson 2.6, JJ Barea 3.3.
And where does that number come from?
JJ's 2 years, or 2 seasons ago, because it was a full season.
Right. Okay.
Same role, just 2 years ago. Dorian Finney-Smith, 3.3. Justin Jackson, 2.9, which I thought was actually kind of high because he didn't play at all in Sacramento.
True.
So 2.9 I thought was good, and I think that validates why he won the starting job over Dorian Finney-Smith. Maxi Kleber, 3.5. Seth Curry, 2.4. Now keep in mind, last time he was with the Mavericks, he was 4.6.
Oh, wow. And that's, again, win shares.
Yes, okay. 4.6 win shares, and then Boban is 3.
So did you use Curry's the 2.9 number?
I did 2.4, okay. Yes. So I did 2. I did 2 different ones. So on the first one, I just did the win shares from last year.
As is. Okay.
Yes.
And then question about Finney-Smith. Like, let's say he doesn't play at all this year. What was his win shares that you're taking?
3.3.
So we could do a test where we didn't count his win shares at all.
Well, the win shares would go to somebody else, though.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
If he's not playing, somebody else is going to get those win shares.
Okay.
They're going to contribute to the Mavericks' victory now, to the Mavericks' wins. So tallying up all that together, the total win shares or the total wins for the Mavericks theoretically would have been 46.5. That's not bad. Yeah. Right? I mean, that's pretty good in my opinion. I think that's a great number to ask for.
I mean, they won 33 last year, so that would be a pretty significant improvement. But if you look at the 17-18 year, which was the year before they got Luca, they won 24 games. And then last year they won 33. Mm-hmm. So you're already getting 9 more wins. Yeah. And so to jump another by adding another superstar and solid role players, it's not like it's crazy to say that they could increase their wins by double 46. Digits.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a big jump. I mean, I acknowledge that, but it's just... It's possible.
They've added players.
Yeah.
It's not like they just are going in the next season with the same lineup.
Yeah, and we're like,
and a huge jump. No, they've added pieces.
Now so 46.5.
46.5 as it stands now. And that's with Luca only at 5. That doesn't take into account his potential jump in win shares from season 1 to season 2. And I looked at LeBron, Carmelo, Durant, and really any wing. For the most part, they had a jump in win shares pretty significantly, except Carmelo. Sorry, Knicks fans.
They're too salty about Porzingis to even worry about Carmelo.
They're on Julius Randle's jockstrap.
Yeah.
So if you were to say in Durant's second year, he had 7.9 win shares. So that's a three jump. So if Luca was at 8 win shares next year, which is kind of low in my opinion, then they would be up to about 51 wins.
Yeah.
Because him and then Seth Curry. So if you put Luca at 8 and Seth Curry back at what he was a couple years ago with the Mavs at 4.6, it was 51.8 wins.
Now that's, like you said, you're comparing Luca's jump to the jump that like LeBron made and Durant. So again, we're assuming that Luca is the kind of player that we think he is, which is a generational player. And I mean, I think to make that assumption at this point, seeing his rookie year is fair. Now, if it doesn't work out, then fine. But I mean, we have the numbers to kind of say like, okay, he could do this.
Not only is it fair, it's a high chance that he's going to make a huge jump next year. Because if you look at his rookie year, if you look at the advanced stats on his rookie year, he was by far better than LeBron and Kevin Durant and Carmelo in their rookie year. And not just on overall stats, but the way he impacted the team and wins, he was way better.
And so you're talking about like win shares, box plus minus, PER,
offensive rating, and then the
effective field goal percentage.
The per 100 possessions. So that's how they actually grade basketball now is per 100 possessions. He destroyed them. Like he was way better. And LeBron went from like 4 win shares. Let me see. LeBron, his rookie year was 5 win shares, 5.1. He went from 5.1 to 14 something his second year. Now LeBron's LeBron.
Yeah.
But Luca had a better rookie year than all these other guys. If he comes back, let's say, 10, 11 win shares for him, I don't think is an outrageous number to ask for. Yeah. And so the Mavericks could be hitting that 50 win plateau.
Yeah. I mean, the numbers back up at least having that hope. I mean, like if it doesn't, I'm always thinking if it doesn't happen, I don't want to be like severely disappointed. So I try to keep everything like in perspective. But like when you look at the numbers, it's not crazy to think like, hey, this could actually happen.
Yeah, and I think we need to be a little bit higher on DeLon Wright.
Yeah, you were talking about that. I haven't like really been excited about him at all.
Me neither.
Yeah, because I was like, whatever, But but you looked at him and realized like this dude's actually legit. Legit for the role they want him to play.
He's got a chance to really be effective for the Mavericks.
Make an impact defensively. So at this point, if anyone's listening, you might be wondering like, what the heck are win shares? Because I don't know if a lot of people really, there aren't a lot of people that
look at advanced stats.
Look at advanced stats, or it's like it's starting to gain a little momentum, but there's still kind of a subset of people that just don't like advanced stats at all. And we obviously do like advanced stats. I mean, putting it in perspective of also just logic and reason.
Yeah.
But out of all of them, win shares is my favorite advanced stat because I think it shows the full picture of what a player actually does. Like you could have 2 players, say Devin Booker averaged 26 points a game and Ben Simmons or Kawhi Leonard who also averaged over 20 points a game. Like they might have the same numbers, but of course no one is going to say that Devin Booker is as good as Kawhi Leonard, except for obviously Phoenix Suns fans. But so how do you know that those 2 players aren't equal? Aside from just being able to watch them and like being smart, how would you prove that to somebody? And win shares is really the stat that can prove that. I made a video like a long time ago on another channel that explained what win shares are. I'll insert that, just a clip from it now that explains very briefly what win shares encompasses, just so you can kind of get a better idea of like what we're talking about when we say win shares. Okay, so how are win shares calculated? First, offensive win shares and defensive win shares are calculated. Offensive win shares takes into account the total points a player scores, how many offensive possessions that player had, the average league points per possession and points per game, and the team pace and league average pace. Defensive win shares takes into account a player's defensive rating, which is a whole other story, the number of defensive possessions a player had, the league average points per possession and points per game, and the team's pace and league average pace. The sum of a player's defensive win shares and offensive win shares is his total win shares. Okay, so that was a lot of things.
So, just so you know, I just go with the overall number. Yeah. I don't try to do the equation.
But so if you watch this video, like if you do a YouTube search for what are NBA win shares, in that video, I also show you the equation so you can see how it's done. But the stats that are taken into consideration just for the audio version of this, it takes into account, first of all, offensive win shares, and that is the points produced by that player, the number of offensive possessions that player had, the pace of the team for that game or for that season, and then also comparing that to the league points per possession and the league pace. So you're taking into account like points scored, number of possessions, the pace, everything, putting it all into one picture. So you get like a full picture of what that player actually did. So instead of just he averaged 20 points a game, it's like, well, how many possessions did he have? What was the pace of the game? What did the rest of the league do? That's offensive possessions. And then defense or offensive win shares. And then defensive win shares is kind of the same thing. It's like how many minutes that player played, how many possessions they had, their defensive rating. And so it's like the whole picture, every stat that could form what a player does defensively, putting those together so you have the full picture of a player's production.
Yeah, and you can actually, the advanced stats support a lot of the eye test.
Yeah.
Like when you look at the top players in advanced stats, it's usually the top players in the league.
It's the guys you would expect.
So you know, like there's no surprises. It's not like somebody jumps up there that nobody's paying attention to. It's not like TJ Warren is top 5 in the league and, in the advanced stats.
Was it last year or the year before when Dwight Powell was like number 1 in the league in PER?
Not PER. I think maybe per 48 minutes or something. Now, he is top in the league in field goal percentage around the basket or finishing at the basket. And his win shares are really high. So that's another player that you and I aren't really we make
fun of him.
Yes.
Because his 3-point shooting,
because
his 3-point shooting is awful. I don't feel like he's a good interior defender. A lot of things.
Advanced stats show he's actually really effective.
And I think that's because of what he does offensively.
And Carlisle
true.
basically takes what he's good at and puts him in a position where he can do that constantly. And that's all he does is pick and roll, pick and roll, pick and roll, and occasional pick and pop. And we're like, no, and then every now and then he does a layup. We're like, dude, throw it down.
I know, that's so annoying.
But he's really good at finishing around the basket. And that's what Carlisle does for him. And that's why I think Porzingis is going to be really effective because he's going to have really particular set of skills that make him a nightmare
for people like you.
For other teams. And Carlisle is going to put him in the best position to maximize what he's good at to help the Mavericks win.
So speaking of Porzingis, like a lot of these estimates are riding on Porzingis Health. And I think like even us being fans, we're rational enough to realize like, yes, it is possible that Porzingis could have injury problems.
Yeah. I mean, he has had injury problems.
It's just a fact.
And so I think the Mavericks are going to, I imagine he's going to be resting, probably won't be playing any back-to-backs. But if you take away his 7 win shares and you put Porzingis to 8 win shares.
If you put Luca to 8.
Or Luca to 8, which is, again, very low compared to the jump that some of these players make their second season. I mean, Durant jumped like 6 win shares. So we'll just say 8 just for the sake of argument. And Seth Curry's at 4.6 like he was 2 years ago with the Mavs. That's 51.8 or 52 wins. Mm-hmm. You take away the 7 from Porzingis, you're still at 45.
Yeah.
That's taking away all of them. So they, if he only plays 65 games, which is probably the number that the Mavs want to keep him at, 65 games resting regularly, he's still going to impact the team a lot.
Now, was that when Curry was with the Mavericks, was he starting?
He started towards the second half of the season.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. So then the 4, I mean, you could say like, okay, we'll put it at 3 or something. But I mean, regardless, that's 1 or 2 games. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, like, I want to be high on them. I want to say like, yeah, Luca won Rookie of the Year, and I think he's going to be like a generational player, as I say. And Porzingis, the last time he was healthy, he was in the MVP conversation. And I think that Curry can play off of Luca really well. And I think that Tim Hardaway, which we can talk about, can be a really good sixth man for them. And like, I want to say all these things, and like, yes, they should definitely win at least 45 games. But it's like, I'm hearing all this other noise about, they're not, and Porzingis is inconsistent, and I'm more excited about the Pelican. That's what people say because
that one.
Lonzo
Okay,
Ball,
so let's go ahead and move on to that because that really is irritating me. The amount of Pelican, groupies there are out there is ridiculous. And Zion, generational talent. There's never been anyone like him since LeBron or whatever. And it's like, why is he a guarantee? But Luca, there were so many question marks about him. Well, that's EuroLeague. Okay, well, he did it in college. You know how many? 99% of players that get drafted out of college are busts. It's just, it happens all the time. They put up great numbers and they suck in the NBA because it's a completely different game. But they give him a pass.
Yeah. I mean, this is just my opinion as a fan. Like, looking at what I've seen, thus far of him in limited viewing, but also looking at the rest of their team. And we say this all the time. It's like they basically transplanted the Lakers to the Pelicans, but removed...
And the Lakers sucked.
Yeah, but removed LeBron and Anthony Davis. And so it's like, even if, like you said, even if Zion is Anthony Davis of last year, which would be insane. Yeah. Even if he was, you're taking LeBron. That's still not a playoff team.
No.
And so
But they got JJ Barea. JJ Redick.
And I love JJ Redick. Like I said, I wish the Mavs had him, but I still don't see it.
My problem with Zion is, okay, he may put up numbers, stats, but right now, is there any indication to me that he's going to be a franchise player? The answer is no. And that's because I have yet to see a highlight with you giving him the ball. Yes. Yeah. Him giving him the ball and making a play. Now, not a play where he bullies the guy out of the way and dunks it. I'm talking about a move where he gets an open jumper or even a contested jumper and he makes it.
Well, to be one of the greatest players in the league, it requires skill and footwork and moves multiple moves and IQ and just things that I don't see whenever I watch him. Like, he's extremely athletic.
And strong.
And big. And I mean, all those things are great, but I don't see the skill that some of these players have. And even Luca, like, the skill that he had, it wasn't just that he could get on fire or that he had confidence or he had a quick first step like some guys do. It was like he had skill, and I don't see that.
His highlight reel is fast break dunks,
put back rebounds,
alley-oops, and like those are all great things to have. But is he a number one guy? Can you give him the ball the last 5 minutes of the game and have him make a play for your team
several times in a row?
Yeah, and I have not seen. Now, he might be able to do that, and he just hasn't shown it or hasn't had an opportunity to. I did not see that in any of his highlights. Now, they're just highlights, so obviously they're going to highlight
the dunks and
that's
stuff
all like that.
People understand.
But I would think I would see it one or two in all the highlights of him making a play that actually involved him using skill and not bullying people out of the way, because he's not going to be able to bully everybody out, especially his rookie year. Yeah. So he's strong for his age, but is he going to push Embiid out of the way?
Or Anthony Davis.
Or LeBron. Or even Paul George.
Or Porzingis.
Yeah, Porzingis 7'3". You might be able to push him, but the guy's, towering over you because you're actually short.
Or, if the Lakers get Dwight Howard, position. I mean, he's going to be contingent.
Well, the great Dwight Howard, he's going to lead them to a championship.
Anyways, well, and we also think that Zion is too big. Like,
I don't think his knees can handle an 82-game season.
Yeah. So, and that's, again, but the dude is huge. And I mean, yes, that's cool and good in some ways, but it's just math. Your body can't handle that.
Look at Embiid. Embiid is a monster. He's huge. Now, I know people say, well, LeBron. Yeah, but LeBron had to lose 20 pounds.
Yeah.
Like 10 years ago or something, because he realized if he wants to play for a long time, he can't be that heavy. Now, yeah, he's still big and he's a monster for his size, but he had to lose a lot of weight in order to maintain that. And don't compare him to LeBron.
Yeah.
Like, LeBron is...
They already are. So.
Well, whatever. Like, I just hope when the Mavericks play the Pelicans, Luca destroys him.
Well, and my thing, and I think, we've talked about this, like, Zion's size, how big he is. He would have, the only option is for him to be LeBron. Because if he doesn't have
he's Julius Randle.
Yeah, and according to Knicks fans, Julius Randle is better than Porzingis. But my point is, like, for him to be that big, he would have to be just an absolute freak of nature. And I don't mean like being able to jump through the roof. I mean like his knees just for some reason hold up under weight that no one else can handle. Like the only option is for him to be LeBron. If not, there's no way. There's no way he can do that.
And you're talking about a 1 in a million.
Yeah.
I mean, there's only one LeBron. There's only been one player with that size and that speed and that athleticism and that health. There's only been one, and it's been LeBron. I'm not saying he's the greatest player ever. I'm just saying for his size and what he was, there's only one of him. And you're saying that Zion has to be that because at 6'7", 6'8", 285 pounds, he's going to have knees that can withstand that for 82 games.
Well, and the way that he plays, too.
Yeah.
I mean, he is
jumping
so
out
athletic.
of the building.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen his head fully above the rim. It's ridiculous for a guy that's 285 pounds. And yeah, it's really, really cool, but it concerns me for an 82 games. And regardless, I'm not that high on the Pelicans like everybody else.
Well, and like I've heard, so, Alvin Gentry is a great offensive coach. So you're putting...
Since when?
He had some good years with the Suns.
With Nash.
Yeah.
Oh.
So you're putting Lonzo Ball and Brandon Ingram in there. And I think people are they're thinking that maybe Lonzo Ball and Ingram can reach their potential.
No. I mean,
once they're out of the Lakers circus.
Okay.
Did I push a button?
It's just because can we move on from Lonzo?
Yeah. Well, maybe after this year.
Lonzo is still put in when you look at top 25 under 20, he's still in there.
And he averages 10 points and 8 assists.
He sucks. Lonzo Ball sucks. You heard it here first. He sucks.
I don't think we said it first, but yeah. So you're not high on the Pelicans, I'm guessing.
No, I'm not high on Lonzo. I'm not high on I'm not high on Brandon Ingram.
Yeah.
No. It's just I understand the size and the skill level, but there's so much more to basketball than athleticism and length and size.
Yeah.
It's all in the mind. That's what the greats, they have the mind that to be the greats. And Ingram doesn't have that. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Are you worried about Julius Randle at all? Because reading tweets from Knicks fans, they legitimately think that Julius Randle is going to be better than Porzingis. And they're tweeting about how Randle is going to break Porzingis the first time they meet. Somebody said that Porzingis is a poor man's Lauri Markkanen. That was a Knicks. And I'm like, okay, that's when you know you're hurting when you're comparing Porzingis to Lauri Markkanen.
Yeah.
Somebody said that TJ McConnell could break Porzingis with his pinky finger. Like, that's how weak Porzingis is. And
Porzingis is not weak. Yes, he has been injured.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that. And he injured his knee on a freak play. And yeah, he hasn't been healthy for an entire season. But there's a lot of factors that go into that. And I don't think the Knicks had the staff.
The training staff.
The training staff to recognize these things like the Mavericks.
Well, remember the year Barea, his hamstring got injured.
What about it?
Okay.
You want to elaborate a little bit more?
Well, I thought you would tell that story since you're really
I don't
good
know
at
what story
telling
you're
stories.
talking about.
Okay, well, you're better at telling stories than I am, but I'll start it and then maybe you'll pick it
Okay.
up. So, JJ Barea was, I think, starting because of injuries or whatever.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah, you
so,
tell it.
and he was on fire.
Yeah.
He was
We were like, is JJ Barea the Mavericks MVP?
like he was on a streak there of like 20 and 11,
I think
25
he won
and
Western
yes.
Conference Player of the Week
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah. He was killing it. But Carlisle, after one of the games, came out and said, and they were talking about how great Beret is. And he's like, yeah, but we're probably playing him too many minutes. We got to lower his minutes or he's going to get hurt. And they couldn't afford to do that because they sucked.
Well, they had
nobody else.
Yeah, I don't think they had anybody else.
And yeah, sure enough, he got hurt, and it was just a regular basketball move. It's not like this Achilles that he had where somebody was stepping on his heel while he was moving forward. So yeah, they recognize those kind of things. They do blood tests to check white blood cell count. I don't know what it all means, but they do.
They do scientific things with needles and computers and
Yes.
stuff. Yeah, and so I think, going back to Porzingis, like, there's a lot of wear that was being put on him. It's possible the training staff wasn't as attentive or on top of things as they should have been, or maybe he just didn't say anything the way he should have. But there was a lot being put on his body.
There's so much more, yes.
Yeah.
And they probably didn't know about minutes and diet and all that, or they maybe they knew, but they didn't enforce it like
or
the
they couldn't
Mavericks
afford to because he was the only good player
Yeah.
they had. And so I would like to think that the Mavericks training staff is smart enough to, first of all, this summer give him a workout routine where he builds core muscles. Like, and I don't mean like just his core, but I mean like the muscles that will help him to stay healthy. And like, obviously we've seen all these workout pictures where he's like flexing his biceps and stuff, but I have to believe that he's not skipping leg day because like
he can't be, not with his
yeah,
knees.
that's obviously extremely
He's not going to pull a
important.
Chandler Parsons.
Exactly,
Just
yeah.
work on his
Well,
abs and biceps.
And that's what worries me. It's like he is working, and you see like him doing all these chest workouts, and it's like I
So
don't want another Parsons.
There's two things to that though. One, he actually listens to the training staff, and he's working his legs. There's just no way he's not.
We assume.
Secondly, he's doing this over a 2-year period. Parsons did it in a summer.
True.
Like he was skin and bone, got the contract, came back, was a monster. And his knees were like, oh wait, we're not prepared for all this weight, you know. So I'll ask you a question. Would you rather have Luca Doncic or Dennis Smith and Julius Randle?
I would rather have Luca.
Yeah, I'm surprised you even took that long.
I have to think about it because, I overanalyze everything.
Yeah, apparently.
No, I would rather have Luca just because I think he's better than Smith. He's better than Julius. And I think the future with him is brighter just because of how good he is and how he can play with other players and make the team better.
Okay, so I had another point to that. So
okay. Was this actually a question that you wanted to answer?
No, I'm asking because you're talking about the Julius Randle compared to.
Sorry, yeah.
So now, would you rather have Luca and Porzingis or Dennis Smith and Julius Randle?
Well, obviously. Luca.
Yeah.
I mean, but Knicks fans would rather have Smith and Julius Randle because they're hurting right now and they need a hug.
Well, and you know what they're doing? Dennis Smith posted a video of him working out intensely and how he's going to come back next year. He did the same thing to us.
Every player does that. I mean, it's like these videos of Devin Booker working out.
Yeah.
As long as you don't double team me, because I want to work on my game, just not the part of the game where you double
actually
players.
matters. Yeah,
because he obviously sucks at that aspect of it.
So yeah, fine. I understand they're going to be excited mainly because, when we got OJ Mayo that year, we were happy because like the former number 3 overall pick. And so we were super excited. And then when the season started,
I mean, he started off averaging 20 points a game, but that slowly tapered off because, the problem with him was his shot release. He brought the ball down so low that it took him so long to shoot that when he was open in the beginning of the season, he could make all these shots.
Yes, but then they stopped leaving him open.
Leaving him open. Yeah, then he couldn't make it. And so, like, that's specific to OJ Mayo, but it's things like that that is a difference between a great player and a mediocre player.
Yeah, so I understand where Knicks fans are coming from. They're hurting.
Well, you have to do that.
But I'm sorry, I don't think you're going to find many people that would take Porzingis even with the risk.
Yeah.
Over Randle because of the potential reward. Randle's not going to lead you anywhere. No disrespect to Randle, but he's Zion.
Well, we've talked before about when it was free agency time or trades or whatever. Like I wanted the Mavs to go after Julius Randle. I wanted Julius Randle, but
because we had nobody else.
Well, and not because I thought that he was going to be a superstar or their best player or lead them to whatever, but just because I think he's a solid role player, a good starter. Like I think he's a good player, but of course, he's not as good as Porzingis, and he's not better than Porzingis. Yeah. I mean, it's just...
And, of course, we're also really high on Porzingis because we're Mavs fans.
Yeah, and
we're excited.
Of course he's going to be healthy and play 82 games.
Yeah,
I mean, we're going to win a championship this year. Like,
obviously.
Come on, obvious.
Duh. So, anyways, I think the Mavs are going to have a better year than most nationally televised or experts or whatever you want to call them are saying. Like the podcast I was listening to, they were like, I think a realistic and a positive or a good season for the Mavericks would be 41 wins. And I was like, 41? Like, are the expectations
That's not even a winning season.
No, like, I was like, what the heck is going on? And that's pretty much how everybody feels outside of a small number of people. Yeah,
so it's like, I think if everything goes well, then they could win like your numbers show 46 to 50 games. And if things don't go well, then we're closer to 40 or 41.
42. Yeah.
Now, so then that being said, is it stupid of me to take the high chance instead of the sucky chance? Well, no, because they're both just as likely. And so I want to believe that they're going to be good this year.
You want to hear something sad?
Tell me.
There's a real high chance that Trae Young will make the All-Star game next year, and Luca won't. And it's because in the East,
they have nobody.
There's no players out there.
Especially since Kawhi left.
Yeah, there's nobody in the East. I mean, Kyle Lowry made it last year. He averaged 14 points a game.
And Kevin Durant is out, so he's not going to steal anyone's spot.
So there's a high chance Trae Young and Luca doesn't. And I know people are going to be, well, Trae Young made the All-Star game. Well,
I don't know if I want to live in a world where Trae Young is an All-Star and Luca isn't.
If Luca averages 22, 8, and 7,
he better be he should have been an All-Star last year.
Yeah.
He got.
But who do you kick out? Paul George.
I mean, since Kawhi came west,
it's just Kevin Durant going east.
True.
So it's
true. Yeah.
So he could have made it last year over Aldridge.
Oh yeah. So anyways, I'm okay with predicting. I think I settled on 46 wins last year last episode.
My pick is 48 because I'm giving Carlisle a couple of win shares. I think he can win a couple of games just by himself.
Coaching win shares,
which is not.
But that would be an interesting stat.
So I'm gonna pick Carlisle to give the Mavericks a couple of victories. So I think 48 wins is what the Mavericks are going to settle, and I think they make the playoffs. I think the Blazers or the Spurs might fall out.
I think it's more likely the Spurs fall out than Blazers. But you know what? You were right about Memphis last year. Like Memphis started the season
on fire.
They were like number one, and that was for a good amount of the season. And you were like, they're going to fall out of the playoffs. And I was like, what? And they did. So, you know, I put some stock in what you say.
Yeah. So I think, I don't think the Blazers are going to be that good. So anyways.
That's so your prediction is
48 wins.
My prediction is 46. Let us know your prediction. So you can tweet us on Twitter at DallasHoopsCast or me at _Sydney Myers. As always, I'm going to post this episode on YouTube, so you can leave a comment in the comment section. We got a lot of win predictions in our last episode, so you can leave them again here, or based on what we've talked about, does that change your prediction at all? Let us know, tweet us, leave a comment. Thank you so much for listening. Make sure you leave a rating for us wherever you're listening to this. Leave a rating. It really helps us. First of all, it helps us to grow, but also helps us to get better based on what you like and what you don't like. But thank you guys so much. That's it for this episode, and we'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye.